Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am so excited. We are going to start my new series. We're going to do this together. Quilt Block of the Month. Some of you who have been watching have heard me talk about it a little bit, and I do want to explain that originally I was going to be doing a Christmas quilt block of the month, so we would have a Christmas quilt made in time for Christmas 2024. But I discovered that I ended up selling all my Christmas scraps. So I didn't have any, and I didn't feel like shopping right now for more Christmas prints. So what you can do is still follow along, and if you had your heart set on making this a Christmas quilt, just use your Christmas scraps. That's what you can do, right? And I would like to do a Christmas block of the month, or at least a Christmas quilt that we can start a little later. I have nothing against buying some Christmas fabric, but I knew whatever I bought, I wasn't going to get in time to start this series. So I would like to do that. Assuming that I like this series, I would like to start that too. So if you want to hang on to your Christmas scraps, you can. Okay, I have a few things to tell you, and then we're going to get started. I haven't started at all. I don't even know what I'm using for fabric yet. This is how much I am taking you through the process with me. And that's the way this is going to go. I know it bugs some of you that I don't know what I'm doing. You want me to know everything I'm doing and just get to the point, but I have no point, basically, and we're just going to go through the process together. But I will have instructions for you. This is not like a just slap stuff together and, you know, hope it works. I have stuff. I have a pattern for the first block. And, okay, so let me just look at my notes for a second. Very important. Watch the entire video each time before you start, because I might make a mistake. I might have made a math mistake on my grid for the pattern, or I might have just said something wrong, and I might have to correct myself. So watch the whole video, because if I find that I made a mistake, I don't want to start over and start a whole new block. I will be saying to you, you know what? I screwed up there when I said that, so ignore that and do this instead. So make sure you watch the whole video first. I also want to say you can use whatever fabric you want. You can use Christmas prints if you want, or you could use batiks if you want. You could use all flannel if you want. I don't care what you use. Whatever you have, you use. If you want to make it scrappy, this is going to be a good design for a scrappy quilt. You can just use all different prints, and don't be afraid to put prints together that you think don't belong together. When I make scrappy quilts, and I make a lot of them, I have people who say, when I looked at the prints you picked, I thought this is not going to look good, but when it's all put together, it looks fantastic. You could also make quilts that are like all one color mostly, like different prints of blue or different prints of pink, whatever you want. Just don't stress out over it. If you want to run out and buy your fabric and plan that, you're not going to really be able to, because I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I wouldn't know how much you need. If some of you say, look, I want to do just 3 different prints, how much fabric do I need of each? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. So that's why scrappy is always a good option, because you can go out and buy more fabric if you run out, and it doesn't have to match anything that you've already used. So in that sense, I'm not, you know, able to tell you, because I'm not making a whole one and then trying to figure out how much fabric. Let's say, and this is just approximate, let's say it's going to be about 40 inches wide, maybe smaller, by about maybe 54 long, maybe shorter. And if you don't think it ends up being wide enough or whatever when we're done, you could always add a border to it, whatever. But again, I don't know how we're joining this yet. I'm leaning toward ragging, but I might come up with something else. So don't get your hopes set on ragging, and, you know, just buy some fabric. It's not going to go to waste if you have leftover, right? Right. We are not doing sashing, though, in this project. I don't think. No, I don't think so. And it is going to be quilt as you go. Some form of quilting. We're getting to that. As for the actual sandwich that we're going to make, you don't even have to make a sandwich. You can have a front and the back. You don't need any batting at all. You can use just regular quilt cotton for the front, and you could do the same on the back. But if you're not using batting and you want it a little bit heavier, you could use flannel on the back. You can also use flannel as the batting. So you could have quilt cotton or flannel on the front, flannel in the middle, and then flannel or more quilt cotton on the back. You can do whatever you want. It depends on where you live. Some people in warm weather areas, they like very lightweight quilts because they're living in air conditioning 24/7, you know? So you can do it whatever way you want. I'm going to show you like what I go through to figure this stuff out. And you might say, please, please share that pattern with us. And I'm not going to, and I'm going to tell you why. I've done that. I've done that in the past. And I've had people use my exact pattern because I had given it as a way to print, and they used it and made their own videos using my patterns, and I know some of them did not mention me at all. So that kind of sucks a little bit. I work hard to do this, and if somebody used the pattern and gave me a shout out and gave me credit for the hard work I went through to put this pattern together, you know, then that's cool. But I'm not going to be doing that because it is an additional step that I have to do, and I just don't feel like doing that. So I've done all that, and I have good reasons why I don't want to do that again. Okay? Okay. So you're just going to have to watch the video, which is the whole point, right? And you might have to repeat watching it, which is even better. This is what it looks like. And when you design quilt blocks, each space that you have there, I do it on a grid online, each box is a 1/2 inch. So if this is 12 boxes down here, that would be 6 inches, but then you always have to add a 1/2 inch to the actual cut piece to allow for seam allowances. Whenever there's a join, each time you sew 2 pieces together, you lose a 1/2 inch. And you say, but why do we lose a 1/2 inch? We're using just a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's because when you put 2 pieces together and you sew down a 1/4 inch, you're losing a 1/4 inch of each piece. That's a 1/2 inch total. So if you have 2 pieces cut 3 inches wide by 3 inches wide, you put those together and you sew. When you open it up, instead of 6 inches wide, you're going to have it be 5.5 inches wide. You know, for those of you who don't want to go through all that shit, that's why I do this. And I'm going to be following my own pattern as I cut, and that's where I said I could make mistakes. I even make sure I add all of these across and up and down to make sure that all the numbers come out to what they're supposed to come out to. And I found I had a mistake here. I had said this was 1.5 inches wide, but it's 2.5 inches wide. You know, it's a lot of work. But I will be telling you the sizes of each piece you need. I will be telling you that in each video. So you can jot it down. I don't think I'm going to be, saying A, B, C, D. I don't know. I'll have to look back and see how I did this before, because I want it to make a little bit of sense. I guess I could do that. I also want to mention that inside each big block, I'm going to try to do a special block. So it'll be like a quilt block inside a quilt block. And for this one, it's going to be like right here. We're going to make that little block, and then we'll have it to, you know, put in with all the other pieces. If you don't want to do that, if you're like, that one's kind of hard, I'm trying to keep everything simple, but here's the simplest thing I can do. You can skip it. When I make that little block, I'll let you know. If you don't want to make this block, all you'll need is a square of fabric, in this case, 6.5 inches square. So you can skip that little extra block inside a block, and you can just cut a piece of fabric if you want to make it really easy, or you think what I just did was too hard. Again, I'm trying to keep the little things simple, the blocks inside the blocks, but it's also a good way for us to maybe learn how to do a different block. And if you see it and like, nah, I don't want to bother with that, then you don't have to, right? Simple as that. I plan on doing hand quilting on these blocks. You don't have to, so don't run away being afraid of that. I plan on doing big stitch quilting, which you'll also hear me say long stitch quilting, because I really want to do some long stitches. And I thought this would be a good way to try that, because I only have to work on one block per month, so I would have time to do my quilting and all that stuff. The only thing is now I don't really want, you know, bold prints, because I want to be able to see the stitches. But then I thought I can mix it up. I can have some things that are like not solids, but maybe read a little bit like a solid, or, you know, just like tone on tone type things or whatever. So my stitches will show, but they don't all have to show. And I don't know if I want to stitch through the backing or not, because I don't like that idea. My idea for me is I might stitch just the top through the batting. I am going to use batting, I think. And then I could actually finish the sandwich by doing some machine stitching just to hold the whole top and batting to the back, right? See, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we can do that. We could do partial hand stitching, but you can also do machine quilting if you want. There's no rules, right? And what thread are we going to use to do the big stitch quilting if you decide to do that? I don't care. I'm so tired of people saying it has to be pearl cotton. Why? Why do people think anything has to be? I don't care if you use dental floss. I don't. And as a matter of fact, when I said that, I thought how cool that would be. Although I think dental floss is probably expensive, but I bet you it would go through thick fabrics really good, like denim, whatever. Try whatever you want. So I am purposely not going to use pearl cotton, just to show that we don't have to. I am going to look through the old threads that I have from my grandmother's day. People had a lot to say about that. It's gonna break, it's this and that. I'm telling you, the shit is strong. I've tried it. Some of these are on old wooden spools. Really, really cool. If that concerns you, and if I end up with this on eBay and you're worried about my old thread that I couldn't break by hand, then don't bid on this, okay? I don't know if this is gonna go on eBay or not. It depends on how much I like or dislike it. But please, if you, and I don't let those comments out because I don't want it to discourage people. But if you see comments, if I let some of them out on my channel just because I want to hit back somehow, or if you see those kind of comments on other channels, or even if you see somebody teaching you how to quilt and they're very strict, ignore the strict part. You're allowed to do anything you want. You can try anything you want, right? Right. I mean, if you feel like sticking yarn into a big needle and you think you can get that through your fabric, I don't care if you use yarn. You can also hand tie this. With me, you have permission to try anything you want. Anything you want. And you can try different things with the different blocks. You don't have to do exactly what I do. All right? Is that all I wanted to tell you? I think so. I'm looking at my notes. Look at the back side. We're ready to go. I'm going to go pick some fabrics out and I'm going to cut my pieces. I have my pieces cut for the first block, except for this piece. This is just a piece of paper because we are going to put a quilt block here. But I will let you know what size this is if you want to skip that step. Get a piece of paper and pencil because I'm going to give you the sizes of all these pieces. Then come back. Okay, you're back. I labeled these A through K. You want to do the same. You can get little stickers if you want, or just cut pieces of paper. Anyway, you want to keep track of that. I say everything wide by tall. The first number is always the width, and you are looking at it as though you're standing here and looking at it. The orientation is correct for you. A, 3.5 wide by 9.5 tall. B, 7 wide by 5 tall. C, 5 inches square. D, 2 wide by 5 tall. E, 2 inches squared. F, 2 wide by 6.5 tall. G is going to be a 6.5 inch square. If you don't want to make the little block that we're going to make, all you need to do is cut out a piece of fabric 6.5 inches square. H is 2.5 wide by 6.5 tall. I is 3.5 wide by 5.5 tall. J is 5.5 wide by 4 inches tall. And K is 6.5 wide by 4 inches tall. So I'm going to put these aside, and we're going to work on this block if you want to do that step. We are going to make a cute kitty cat block for that specialty spot in our quilt block. If you do not want to do this, all you have to do is cut a square of fabric, 6.5 inches square, and you'll be good to go. But I'm going to go ahead and make this cat block. You've seen it, I'm sure, a million places. It's about the most basic cat block there is, and I don't think I've ever done it on a video. Now, I did change things a little bit. First of all, we're making a small one. I couldn't find a small one, so I had to figure out all the measurements myself. And I wanted there to be background fabric above the ears, because the way everyone else does it, if you don't get like a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance, you can lose the points of the ears. So hopefully the way I set this up, we won't lose the pointy ears. This is for the cat. This is for the background. So for the cat, you need these 4 pieces. You need 2 squares for the ears. Those are 1 1/4 inch square. You need this for like the face. This is 2.5 wide by 1.5 tall. And then for the body, you need 4.5 wide by 2.5 tall. Okay, that's for the cat. For the background, you want a matching fabric. And you need a square that is 2.5 inches square. You need a piece like this, 2.5 wide by 1.5 tall. And then you need this 1 1/4 inch square. Now we're going to start, and I'm going to show this to you right here. Oh, we're also going to need something for the border. I'm going to go with black. In every block, if I have a specialty block, I'm going to use black as the border. Cut the strips about 2 inches. I'm going with that because then we can trim, and that way we're sure we're going to have the square be big enough, because if you have extra border, that's easy to just trim off. We're going to start with this little background piece and the 2 ears. But I'm just going to lay down in the corner here, and right sides down, and the corner here. Now I'm going to sew like a V, and I can mark that with a ruler and a pencil or a pen. Can I just wing it here? I'm going to. There's my V I'm drawing, because I just don't feel like taking my ruler. I have a camera right in front of me here. Just to give you an idea. But you can do it with a ruler. Can you see the V? So I'm going to the machine, and I'm going to start right here and go down, and then I'm going to sew here. Be right back. I just edited, and I know that I didn't have these pieces labeled like A, B, C, or whatever, so I just put those 2 squares on the rectangle background piece. See, we have the big square and the little square left. So this is what we did. I sewed on the lines of the V. Now I'm going to take the scissors. I guess I can do that right here in front of your very own eyeballs. Now I'm going to trim below the line both ways. So the line is here. Going to trim under it. And same here. I want to trim under the line. So I'm just going to turn it, make it easy. Now we have a piece that looks like this. I'm going to the iron. I'm going to take these and fold them down and press. This is what we have, and this is going to be the ears of the kitty cat. See, the face will go there, pointy ears. And you'll notice that there's some background above the points of the ears, so hopefully that's a good thing, because maybe we won't lose the points of the ears. That's about the most difficult part that we had to do. And, you know, it's not going to be perfect. And it's okay if your cat has wonky ears. We like wonky, right? Even if you lose the point. Hey, he got in a cat fight and he lost a piece of his ear. That's all. Now take the body and take the little square of background. And we are going to put that in the top right corner. Okay? Make sure my right sides are together. You want this one right side up and this one right side down. And again, you're going to make your line. You're going to go from this corner to this corner. Sew that, and I'll be right back. Now we have this. I'm using black thread. I just use whatever I have in my machine. You can see it this way though, so that's good. Now see, there's the line. Now I'm going to trim right here. I'm going to take that corner off like this. Going to fold this up and press. This is the body. This is going to go together like this. Now remember, things don't look like they fit because of seam allowances. Once they're put together, we're good. So this is how our block is going to go. So let's start by putting the ears on the face. I'm just going to put that like that and sew across the top. Oh, look at how cute this is. Now we're going to put these two pieces together. So I'm just putting this like this, and this is the line I'm sewing on right here. And this is what we have. See, this little piece is to create the little, like the bum of the kitty cat. Isn't it cute? Now all we have to do is take the top down here and sew. And you can see a little bit sloppy. You know, this is sticking out on the top a little bit more than on the bottom. And that's okay. I'm just going to take that tiny bit off camera so I can put my cutting mat down. And I'll even this up a little bit, and then we're going to do the borders. I trimmed this just to even it out a little bit. It doesn't matter what size this is. I mean, mine is about 4.5. Yours might be more like 5, maybe a little under 4.5. That doesn't matter because we're going to add the border. And we're going to add enough border so that we can trim this down to 6.5 inches. I'm going with black. I don't know. I don't really like my decision, but I'm going with it. So what I do is I'm going to just take this, and I like to do the sides first. So I'm going to just lay my strip down. Notice I'm not cutting it. I don't need to at this point. I'm just going to, sew, and then I'll come off when I'm at the bottom of the block. At this point, I can just trim this right like that. Doesn't have to be even. And I'll do the other side. And I'm going to go press these open. You know, the strips are a little long, but I'm going to just trim them. And you can do that right at your machine. Just going to cut across. And now I'm going to do the same on the top and bottom. Let me press open. This is what I have. Now I want to trim this to 6.5 inches. Half of that is 3.25. So I have a center here where the head joins the background. So I'm putting that on a line. In my case, it happens to be the number 9 line. See how that just kind of like just goes down straight? And I want to go 3.25 this way and trim, and then 3.25 this way and trim. So here's my number 9 line. That's where my center is. 1, 2, 3.25. So I'm going to trim right there off camera because I need 2 hands. Now I'm going to do the same on this side, but I'm going to count in the other direction. So I'm on the 9, that's my center. 1, 2, 3, and a quarter. Trimming right there. I turned my block and I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to use that same number 9 line, put my center on that line. There's another seam there that I can go with, and I'm going to count 3 1/4 over and trim, 3 1/4 over and trim. Now I have a 6.5 inch block. Is it perfect? No, probably not. It doesn't have to be. Let's set up all the pieces now, including that block. I'm unsure about the choice of the black border. I think once all the quilt blocks have something with black, you know, that might be pretty cool. Another thing I could have done is I could make 2-inch squares. I like to have at least one 2-inch square in every project. I just think it's nice to have something little with the big things. I could have made that an accent block and also make that black. That would have been kind of nice. There would have been little splashes of black, but I'm going with this. Just, you know, want to give you ideas. Now we can put this together any way we want, but, you know, we obviously want to make it make sense. So we can put these two together if we want. We could put these two together, these two together. Let's start right here. I'm going to put D and E together. Now remember, you wrote down the sizes of D and E, so you know exactly what I'm talking about because you labeled them too, right? D, E. Yes, yes you did. I'm going to just put this like this, and so I am just putting this right back here, and I'm just finger pressing at this point. Let's put B and C together. All right, here. Sewing. Like that. Let's put J and K together. Right there. Like that. Let's put these 4 together. So these 2 together. So these 2 together. Let's start with that. Now we have this, and I'm going to sew this to here. Oh, we're getting there. I'm liking the black more and more. Let's sew these 2 together. That's A and I. At this point, I'm going to go press these 4 bigger pieces. It's looking like I did the math the right way. These 3 are going to fit. And after we put those together, they should fit to that. So I'm going to sew this to this and this to this. I love it. I pressed this big piece and now I'm adding this piece here. Like that. I really like this block. It's so scrappy and so big. I just love it. And I do like the black around the cat. I think that whatever, you know, block we make for the block inside the block, I'm going to do them all with black border, and I think it'll tie things in. I don't know, I might introduce black in the joining if we rag. I'm not sure. I don't know anything yet. All I know is I like this block, and I also know that there's no way I can attempt the quilting in one video. This video was long because of the intro. Let me go talk to you at my computer. Hang on. Yes, this video is long because I explained at the beginning what we were going to be doing and also explained that I don't really know what we're doing, right? So I really do think, though, that each block of the month will have to have a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1, and you know, and so the 2 parts can not be as long, each one of them a little bit shorter. Part 1 would be making the quilt block. Part 2 would be quilting the quilt block, making the sandwich. I do want to point out that my kitty cat, his ears are not the same size because of the seam allowance. When you, you know, don't have a perfect 1/4 inch seam, then it shifts things around. So when I put the border on, I probably was too generous with the seam, so it cut in on that ear a little bit. But, you know, it's going to happen, so don't worry about it. Other than that, I'm quite happy. And it did come out, I wanted it to come out 14.5 inches square to give us room to trim. And I'm at like between 14 1/4 to 14 1/2. So I will be able to trim that down to 14 inches, which is what we want, I think. So here's the deal. I'm going to stop this video tonight, and I probably will need a couple days to process the quilting. I feel like I'm gonna ruin it by doing the quilting. Maybe I don't have to do too much of it. I need to think about it, and once I know that I'm good with that, the next videos in this series are going to be fine, and I'll be able to have part 1 and part 2 completed together and just show them, you know, like one day after the other. Right now, I don't have time to do part 2 in time for the 1st of the month because we're the 1st of the month and I need more time. And it'll probably take me a couple of days. But see, I'm just afraid that, I don't know, I don't want it to take away from, that light is so bright. Let me move my big head there to block it. I hate to, I don't know, I just feel like I'm going to ruin it. But we'll do it, we'll do it. Maybe I should have used plain or prints. I don't know. See, I shouldn't be second guessing because the whole reason I'm here is to tell you to just do whatever because it doesn't matter, and it really doesn't. Is there anything else I need to tell you? I'm going to still try to do the long stitch quilting. I may have to play with it on my own before I show you. I was going to just, you know, like practice with you guys, but I think I want to just get a grip as to what I'm doing. And I was even thinking, like, those of you who do embroidery and do the little knots and stuff, how cool if you took the time to do that to, like, every little center of those flowers. See, I could get into shit like that. I just don't really have the time to do it, and I haven't embroidered for a long time. I did it a lot as a child. Absolutely loved doing it. My kitty, I don't know if I'm happy with the very pale pink that I chose. I don't know. I'm just being fussy. See, there's some more flowers down there that could have centers, or I don't know. I just think it will be fun. That the quilting part will be fun. See, I just keep getting ideas. See that purple print right there? There's, you know, vertical lines there. Some of those lines could have the big stitch quilting. It could be determined by what you have for fabric. I don't know. I just need to do it and just need to keep it easy and simple and quick. So this is part 1 of our first block of the month, quilt block of the month video. And part 2 will be coming up shortly. And that's it. I guess that's it. I'm going to say bye now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.